Ribbing creates a very stretchy fabric and is created by alternating knits and purls. This hat was created with the Smoke and Slate Super Chunk Hat Kit. The ribbing is created by alternating knit one stitch, purl one stitch. The knit stitches create flat V's on the right side of the fabric. So there's one of the V's. And the purl stitches create bumps on the right side of the fabric. This is the Smoke and Slate ribbed beanie, and the ribbing is created by alternating knit 2 stitches, purl 2 stitches. The knit stitches create 2 columns of flat V's next to each other. Here's one of the V's, followed by 2 columns of bumps. When weaving in your end on ribbing, we will weave it in through a column of flat V's. Because the Super Chunk Hat Kit has this brim, we want to weave this end in on the wrong side of the fabric so that it's hidden. So you flip your brim inside out and then find the nearest column of flat V's on the inside, and that's what you'll weave the end through. For the ribbed beanie, at the end of the project, you'll fold the brim over just like this. Because of the folded brim, you'll actually want to weave in this end at the bottom of your hat on the right side of your project because it will be hidden once you fold the brim over. I'll start by demonstrating with the Super Chunk hat. So here is the end at the bottom of the brim that I want to weave in. So I'll turn the brim inside out so that this end will be hidden on the inside of the hat or the wrong side. I'm going to demonstrate with a contrast color of yarn so that it's easier for you to follow along. To begin, I'm going to find the column of V's that's closest to the end at the brim of the hat that I need to weave in. So there should be 4 V's in the column for the Super Chunk Hat Kit. Each V has a right leg, here's the right leg, and a left leg. We are going to weave the end in, going through one side of the legs of V's, then across and through the other side of the legs. It doesn't matter if you start on the left side first or the right side. I'm going to start on the right side, and I'll bring my needle through each of the legs, going up the column of V's. When going through the first side of legs, it's important to bring your needle from the outside to the inside of each leg. You do not want to go from the inside to the outside like this. So, to begin, I'm going from the outside to the inside of this first leg on the right side of the column. It's the same if you're starting on the left side of the column, going from the outside to the inside, like that. Since I'm starting on the right side of the column, I'll go from the outside to the inside of this first leg. And then I'll travel up the side of the column of V's, going through each of these legs from the outside to the inside. For the Super Chunk Hat Kit, I'll bring my needle through 3 of the legs and then pull my end all the way through. Then I'm going to find the V that's right above the leg that I just came through. So here's that V, and I'm going to bring my needle perpendicularly through both of the legs from the right side to the left side. If I started off going up the left side of the column, then I'll bring my needle perpendicularly through that V from the left to right side. But since I just came up the right side, my needle will go through this V from the right side to the left side. Then I'll pull my end all the way through. Now I need to weave my end through the other side of the V column. I find it easier to flip my project around. So now the legs that I need to weave through are on the right side. And instead of a column of V's, this column looks like a column of little roofs. So now I'm going to weave my end through these legs until I reach the brim of the hat. I'll bring my needle from the inside to the outside of each leg when I'm going this way, not from the outside to the inside like we did with the first set of legs. So here I'm bringing it from the inside to the outside of the first leg, then through the second, and then through this third leg. It's a little bit hidden at the brim of the hat. Then pull your end all the way through. Once you're finished, you can kind of stretch your fabric to help your end settle in. Then grab a pair of scissors and trim your end, leaving a little piece of yarn. You normally wouldn't have this piece, it's just from the contrast yarn that I used. So just stretch your fabric a little bit more to help your end settle, and then trim any remaining piece of your end. And I used the gray yarn, and it still looks really well hidden, but when you use the same color of your actual project, you hopefully won't even be able to notice your ends. Now I will demonstrate on the ribbed beanie. Again, for this project, you fold the brim over at the end, just like this. So we actually want to weave the end in on the right side of the fabric for the brim because it will be hidden when it's folded over at the end of the project. For this project, you alternate knit 2, purl 2 to create the ribbing. We'll just weave the end in through the nearest column of V's. So here I'm using a contrast color of yarn so that it'll be easier for you to follow along. So we'll be weaving the end through a column of V's, and each V has a right leg and a left leg. We'll bring the end through one side of the V legs, across, and through the other side. For the first side of V legs, you'll bring your needle from the outside to the inside of each leg, like this. You do not want to bring your needle from the inside to the outside, like that. So here I'm bringing my needle from the outside to the inside through each of the legs, going up the column. I'll go through 4 of the legs and then pull my end all the way through. Now I'm going to weave my end through the legs on the other side of the V column. So I'm going to find the V that's directly above the last leg that I came through. So that's the last leg. And I'll bring my needle through both legs of that V perpendicularly from the left to right side. And I'll pull my end all the way through. Now I'm going to weave through the legs on this side of the V column. I find it easier to flip my project around like this. So now instead of V's, my column represents little roofs, like that. Here are the legs that I'm going to weave through. And those are the legs that I just wove through. So when I'm going this way, I'm going to bring my needle from the inside to the outside of each leg, not from the outside to the inside. So here I'm bringing it from the inside to the outside, going through each leg until I reach the brim of the hat. Then I'll pull my end all the way through. You can kind of stretch your fabric a little bit to help the end settle in. And then grab a pair of scissors and trim your end, leaving a little bit of yarn. And stretch your fabric a bit more to help it settle in more. And then trim any remaining end that you have. For the ribbed beanie hat, you'll also have some ends on the inside of the hat that you need to weave in. So flip your hat inside out like this. Depending what size hat you made, you may have added a ball of yarn. Here's my ends from adding a ball right here. So carefully untie the knot that you made when you added the ball of yarn. So here are the two ends that we need to weave in. And you can see in between the ends, there's a little hole right here. So it's important before you weave in, you crisscross the ends like this. And then you'll just weave each of the ends through the nearest column of V's. You'll also have the end at the very top of your hat. So you'll just find the nearest column of V's. So for me, it's right here, and weave through just like you did with the other ends.